So when you hear FedEx, you probably think about shipping and delivery, because after all, thank you, that's the business we're in. But we know that our efforts go far beyond that, especially as it pertains to subscription boxes. And we're going to talk about the experience today for you and your customers and how FedEx plays a role in helping drive that forward for you. Think about it. The customer experience that your customers experience starts long before that box arrives on their porch, and it extends far beyond after they've eaten or worn or used the item that you shipped them. So what I'd like to do first is take a moment to show you a great video that highlights how FedEx plays a role in businesses just like yours.
1 millionth order.
Millionth order.
There goes our first big order.
44, 45, 46. How many of these did they order?
Oh, that's hot.
You know, we could sell these.
Nah.
We don't bake.
Opportunity. What we deliver by delivering.
So if you feel a little emotional watching that, it's probably because you can relate to what it takes to grow a business, just like what they did in the video here, that has all the kinds of growth potential we have in a moment in time like this when so many customers are deciding to shop online. Let's talk about the size of that business. E-commerce today is a $1.7 trillion global industry, and it's growing rapidly. In fact, it's estimated that just under 15% of those sales are going to, of all retail sales are going to be e-commerce by the year 2020. And as e-commerce grows, customers are demanding more. They're demanding more from all of us. Personalization is one of those items that they're looking for. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Personalized gift market is expected to hit $31 billion by 2021, and that's up about 55% since 2016. 50% of millennials and Gen Z customers say that they want personalized products. For a lot of you, the ability to personalize products and put them in your boxes can be viewed and used as a key differentiator. Customers and consumers also want choice, convenience, and control over their deliveries. So let's talk about that a minute. 36% of customers have told us that they want their item delivered to somewhere that's other than their home or their place of business. 37% have told us that they've actually changed that point of destination after you have distributed their product to them. And finally, 67% of consumers are checking your returns policy before they make a decision to purchase from you. And let's drill into that a little deeper. According to Invest, 30% of items that are bought online are actually returned. And this compares to just under 9% in a traditional brick-and-mortar environment. When it comes to e-commerce, whether it's a one-time purchase or a subscription box purchase, returns and return policies and knowing how you can return it are very important. These stats reflect the complexity of the e-commerce market, and in particular the subscription box model that you all are representing and driving. And if you think about it, it's important that we consider all of these aspects end to end if we really want to create an excellent customer experience that drives loyalty with your brand. Let's talk about competition. Competition is heating up. Hopefully you've read or heard in the last month that Walmart has entered your space. They've partnered with KidBox to deliver personalized clothing to children's parents' doorstep. This should be a big wake-up call for everybody. Not only are entrepreneurs and startups getting into the subscription box business, but now we've got the biggest company in the world, a big mass merchant retailer, entering as well. In this highly competitive environment, it's important that you find ways to really polish your end-to-end customer experience and stay ahead as others enter your space. Not only do you have to work hard to build that awareness for your brand and that trust so that customers make the decision to go and do that first purchase, but you have to also control churn. it's extremely hard to win loyalty, and customers are going to be quick to cancel subscription services when they don't get the experience that they want. So, what do we do about that? How do we reverse those trends of churn? There are ways to win your customers' loyalty. It starts with building a reputation for quality and delivering an item that's on time and in perfect condition every time. When I say on time, that means a lot of different things to different customers. It not only means speed. Speed we know is important when we're talking about things like fresh food and perishables, but even more important, customers want visibility and insight into when their item is going to come, and they want it when it's most convenient for them. And sometimes that means needing the ability to make changes to that delivery time or that delivery place, again, after you've shipped it. Sometimes the rationale for that address change is because they've realized they're not going to be at home when that package is due to arrive. Sometimes, unfortunately, it's because they're trying to mitigate the risks associated with porch piracy if that has flared up in their neighborhood. Or sometimes it's as innocent as they're trying to hide that package from their kids or their spouse so that they can hand deliver it to them during a special moment. At FedEx, we have several solutions to help alleviate these concerns for you and your customers and drive that positive customer experience, and I'm going to talk about that in a moment. Again, the key here is that we need to cultivate a strong brand. So let's talk about how you drive a strong brand. You all put quality products inside the box. I'll argue that the box itself is just as important to driving that positive customer sentiment, and that box not only needs to be bright, vibrant, articulate your brand, but it also has to protect the item, get it there properly, get it there without damage. The box matters. Think about when we were young, and for some of us it was just as much fun to play with the box the item came in than to play with the item itself. I'm pretty sure I haven't outgrown that. Maybe some of you haven't either. The other thing is, when you fulfill an order, somebody doesn't want it to come drab and dull. And for most people, that means in a simple brown box. And you certainly don't want it damaged in any way. The box is your storefront. When you shop brick and mortar and you open that door, that's your first tangible experience with that brand. Well, the same could be said for your box. You don't have a store. When you open that box, or when your customer does, that's the first time they really engage with what your brand is about. This is where custom packaging makes a huge impact. And we're working to make it easier and more cost-effective than ever before for you to be able to order custom-branded boxes to have your products delivered in. FedEx has the technology and the know-how, and we have digitized an easy way for you to order, design, brand, and print on those boxes. And what that drives are efficiencies like your ability without order minimums, so you can order a quantity of one if you need to. This allows you to do things like shipping out limited editions, personalized deliveries, test marketing small runs of products, regionalization, seasonalized packaging, and all of this also reduces obsolete inventory costs because you're not printing large quantities of boxes and then you change your brand or logo and you have to destroy boxes that no longer work for you. It reduces the carbon footprint, and we also have the ability for you to ship in food-safe packaging. Digital technology gives us all these freedoms to create boxes that are going to help drive your company's personality and ultimately deliver the quality of goods your customers want. Speaking of quality, we also want boxes that are functional and durable. Think about the journey a package takes from the time it leaves your facility to the time it arrives. There's a lot of things that happen to that box, and many of you don't imagine that. And I might have gone a slide ahead here, but your brand traveling safely is very, very important. So how many of you, and you don't have to show by hands because with these lights, I can't see you, but how many of you have gotten calls or emails or texts from your customers that tell you that their box has arrived damaged or that the item inside of it is damaged or crushed? FedEx actually has a packaging lab that can work directly with you to develop a box that is perfect for shipping the item that you're getting to your customer. We can size it appropriately, we can minimize the fill that's required, And then we test it in our lab to ensure that it can stand up to heavy weights sitting on top of it. What happens a lot is when you ship a product, people imagine that it's riding nice and safe and comfortable on top of a big pile of packages. I can tell you I've spent many midnights in our sort facilities, and unfortunately that's not the case. Many times your package is underneath a bunch of heavier packages on top of it. Having your box properly designed to withstand that weight and keep your product safe drives a better customer experience because they get it the way they wanted it. And what we're talking about here is designing one box for safe shipment that's branded. Not designing a box that looks great and conveys your brand, but it isn't safe for travel and then has to be overboxed by that dull or drab brown box. The subscription box business is an interesting and complex marketplace with a lot of upside growth potential, given all these things that I'm talking about. So with that, I'm going to transition now to our Fireside Chat, and I'm going to talk more about some of the ideas that FedEx has to help you deliver on the best possible customer experience.
Thank you, Jeff, for that great presentation. First and foremost, I want to take a second to thank you and FedEx for your continued support at SubSummit. From the very first event to this event, you've been there the whole way. You, along with so many other merchants here today, are the reason why SubSummit is where it's at. So thank you.
Well, it's our pleasure to be here, John. It's our pleasure to support it. And this is my first show, and I've got to tell you, I've already met a bunch of amazing people. Very, very big opportunity.
That's great. Now we're going to go into a fireside chat, and I'm super excited to talk to you. For so long with Gentleman's Box, I was engulfed in logistics and operations. So now I get to talk to you about going beyond the brand and everything else that FedEx gets to offer. So going to our first question, a problem that exists in all of e-commerce, not just e-commerce, is porch piracy. 23 million people, including myself, were affected by it last year. What can we do to prevent it?
Well, three things. First, hold at location, which we'll talk about in a minute. Automatic redirect of a package. And most importantly, FedEx Delivery Manager. FedEx Delivery Manager not only alerts customers that the box has left the provider's facility and is on its way to them, but it also goes as far as giving them information about expected delivery time. And it's at that moment they can use that application to redirect that package. If they know they're not going to be at home, they can delay it. They can also move it to an alternative address, so maybe move it from their home to their office if they're working late. This service has been expanded to 40 countries, so it's available. So for those of you who are international shippers, it's very, very simple. You just go on FedEx.com to register, and it's entirely free. If your customer is not going to be at home, they can redirect it to either a FedEx office store, which is the operating company within FedEx I represent, or one of our 11,000 convenient hold-at-location sites. These sites include our 2,000 FedEx office stores, but it also includes other great convenient retailers such as Walgreens and Albertsons.
There's a lot of great stats in there. I think one thing that I learned was that 80% of the U.S. population is within 5 miles of a FedEx office.
That's entirely true. That's what that 11,000 and ongoing expanding network of locations is there to provide.
That convenience is truly remarkable. It's something for all businesses around the country that thrive on domestic sales. It's something that's super beneficial to us. Speaking about e-commerce companies, with the rise of e-commerce, is brick and mortar dying?
It's not dying, John, but it is changing. We're seeing a number of things. We're seeing e-commerce only companies moving into the brick and mortar business to give their customers a place where they can touch and compare and really experience the brand and products. What we're also seeing is retailers stepping up their efforts to support e-commerce, efforts around returns, exchanges, being that place that completes that sale. This is very, very important. It's one of the reasons we continue to expand that network and make it larger. It's clearly very, very important. I'll also say that another thing that we're seeing brick and mortar serve the needs for is what I mentioned earlier, hold at location. This is a very, very important service for many of the people in this room. If you're shipping something fresh or shipping something perishable and that customer is not there to get it, a couple of things happen. Either one, we have to incur a redelivery attempt, which isn't efficient for anybody. But more importantly, if it's left out on that doorstep, think of the southern half of the U.S. where these items have to withstand temperatures of over 100 degrees. Not really opportune. The ability to direct that to one of over 11,000 locations and conveniently pick it up when it's good for you is very, very important.
That's great. I want to dive into costs. FedEx return technology helps businesses better set expectation with the customers. It helps better communication, transparency. But as far as the economics of subscription services go, shipping is a huge part. What could companies do to kind of help manage those costs?
Well, let me touch on something you hit on that we haven't discussed yet, and that's returns. Returns are a very complex piece. As I stated earlier, 30+% of what's sold on e-commerce comes back. What's the pain points for the customer are shipping a return, printing a return label, knowing where they can drop it off, and getting assistance if that product is not in its original box and no longer ready to be shipped. Again, customers can leverage that network of 11,000 locations we've built. They can easily self-print that label, or it could be printed for them. They could drop it off where it's convenient. If they need packing assistance, I'd recommend they go to FedEx office, where we have all different size boxes and the expertise to do that. But when you use a FedEx return label, there's a couple of benefits that come with it. One is it never expires. So if your customer doesn't return it right away, they don't have to go out and print it again. Two, you as the shipper, you as the provider, you don't pay for that shipment unless your customer actually uses it. So despite printing it, it doesn't cost you anything. And again, there's a huge network for you to be able to drop that off conveniently. The other piece you touched on is FedEx Returns technology. This is a solution we launched back in March. As a user of FedEx Returns technology, you, the seller, will have complete line of sight to whether a customer actually dropped an item off and it's en route to you. And we provide you several different reporting statistics that allow you to see customer behavior, percentages of returns that are coming back, to allow you to make better decisions on your return policies and ways to also lower cost, which I can keep going on about that. Getting back to cost, how do we lower that as an industry here? One of the first things I would say you should take advantage of is FedEx's volume discounts. If you're a frequent shipper with FedEx, you can earn anywhere from a 5 to a 35% discount. And what smart customers have figured out is, because of the FedEx office store network where we print, which also includes a network of 18 closed production centers which can print anything. When you combine a print spend with a ship spend, you're eligible to garner larger discounts more quickly moving forward.
Yeah, so essentially, spending more with FedEx amongst their vast solutions, the more rewards they can redeem and more loyal they are as a customer. What else could they do to help manage costs?
Well, I think it's important to note that how you pack a box is just as important as the packaging you use. Many times we see products go through the network that are not protected properly, and there are significant costs that you all incur when you have to take a damaged item back and then ship a replacement item. And when you think of what's being sold here in the room, and I walked the floor briefly today, we have perishables, we have delicate things like glass, we have high-value electronics. Anything we can do to reduce damage and returns is a savings for these sellers. The other thing I would say is take advantage of the FedEx Packaging Lab. So we have a lab located in Memphis. It has all types of elaborate test equipment. It will test drops, it will test for vibration, it will test for temperature. And what we also have for your use is a field network of 26 packaging engineers. They're located across the nation, and they can come meet with you, look at what it is you're packaging, where your customers tend to be, whether it needs to be temperature controlled, et cetera, and help you develop the optimum packaging for what it is you're shipping. All of these consolidated help you save cost, but also, more importantly, deliver a delightful customer experience. There's a FedEx Small Business Center on our website where I encourage you all to click on there for tips. There's also a packing help hub, get that out in one word, in one line, that gives you a lot of tips. If you're going to self-pack and if you're going to use your own packaging, at least click onto that and see the tips that are there to help you better prepare your item for shipment.
You know, this industry is becoming more and more competitive. You know, what could companies do to truly differentiate themselves?
Two things. One, I'll always stress, make it convenient for your customers. Give them visibility and control the way we talked about today. Let them see when it's coming, give them the control to divert it if they need to, or delay it, or have it safely held. And the other thing I would encourage is loyalty programs. So the FedEx My Rewards program is a great way that the sellers in this room can leverage benefits that FedEx extends to them for being shippers and print customers. The FedEx My Rewards program will earn gift cards. These gift cards can be used to either purchase big items like a TV for your business's break room, or you can also give it out to your employees as incentives, you know, to get over that next big sales hurdle you're trying to reach. Or you could pay it forward and purchase Starbucks gift cards, put them in the boxes of the items your customers are buying just to show them how much you appreciate them.
Yeah, and you know what, this really does go back to really helping manage costs too, because like these type of rewards are great for companies to help kind of offset costs as a business owner. You know, Gentleman's Box ships with FedEx, and when we first started shipping with FedEx, you know, I think a lot of companies think that in order to redeem rewards, it's based on volume. Well, you slowly start to realize that it's more than just volume. It's all your printing services, everything that FedEx has to offer. The more that you're able to kind of engage with FedEx's solutions, the more rewards you're able to redeem. And once again, these help offset costs. A little birdie told me that FedEx has introduced something new into the pipeline, and it's new and exciting information to me. So I was wondering if you could elaborate more on this.
I can, and hopefully if you've seen our booth, the cat's out of the bag, but it's all about branding. FedEx, and in particular the FedEx Office channel within FedEx, has launched a custom branded box website. We make it very, very easy for you to either pick from our numerous off-the-shelf size boxes. You can print anything on any side, inside and out. We can go as far as helping you curtail that message or create that message or curate that message to better present your product. We can help you with things like logo development if you don't have a logo. And we can also consult with you to custom design a package, as I mentioned earlier, that's perfect and specific to the items that you're shipping. We offer different substrates. We have different finishes. We have gloss, matte, food safe. We have water-based ink. We have just about every option I think the people in this room would need to really customize and enhance that experience, help smaller companies look like they're bigger companies, compete more effectively in the marketplace. And as I mentioned earlier, because all of our printing is done digitally, there's no order minimum. So there's people that I meet that think you have to order 1,000-box quantities and large, you know, truckloads full of boxes. You don't. You can literally order a sample. You can order 1 box from us just in case you want to see the quality of our print, how your brand and your message looks on your box. And once you're comfortable with that, come back and order whatever quantity you need.
Yeah, that's amazing to hear. As a sub-box owner myself, it's always nice to be able to collaborate with companies that really offer these end-to-end solutions. So it's really nice and exciting to hear that you guys are doing this. We've talked a lot about the box itself. What about the branding efforts that happened inside the box?
Well, that's a great question. So I'm passionate about print, and some of our current customers and some of the people in this room do meal kit programs. And it's really, really important that you get a beautiful, clearly printed recipe card. It could be a belly band that's wrapped around the ingredients. We provide all of that. We've seen some of our customers go from ordering 25,000 units of a recipe card a week to over 150,000 units a week. And customizing those printed items that go inside the box also extend and drive a positive brand experience. It also allows you to put in things like personalized cards. So if you monitor that certain customers are frequent or they've reached their 100th purchase and you want to put a memento like that in the box, a printed sentiment is very, very good for that.
I mean, that's awesome to hear. I know that outside of just what's inside the box, there's, I'm trying to think here. Let me play devil's advocate for a bit. It's the digital age, and a lot of people are saying that printing is going away. Isn't the trend towards publishing just everything online?
It's a fair question. First off, I'd mention that in the cases where we do print, we've seen some startups try to go it alone and print it on their own. And quality could be suspect. Things like color matching don't occur. So when you hire a professional printer, things like color matching, things like quality and consistency, and the ability to scale is something that we help with a lot. That infrastructure is expensive, and we're there to do that. We've seen customers, build out marketing teams, try to go buy printers, rent out the space for all of this equipment. I wouldn't bother doing that. And to validate that, we recently published the results of a survey where we went out and polled small business to find out, is printing really important and is printing really relevant? 92% of small businesses told us that printed items are still very important, especially when it helps them to compete with larger competitors. And then customers of all print sizes have told us that collateral and inserts are still very, very important, especially if it's accompanying an e-commerce shipment where there's a printed item in the box. So printing is still very relevant indeed.
Wow. There's probably a million other questions I could ask you. You're just full of knowledge with regards to going beyond the brand. It was an absolute pleasure sitting on the stage with you today, Jeff, and picking your brain, and I appreciate your time today.
Thank you, John. It's been a pleasure. I encourage everybody, again, please visit the FedEx Small Business website. You'll get a bunch of tips and tricks there. I also want to announce that we do a small business grant every year, and one of our grant winners this year was a subscription box customer who happens to be in the room. And we are very, very committed to helping you all be successful. So I will be at the booth tomorrow, as well as many of my colleagues. Please feel free to come by and say hello, and anything we can do to help you, that's what we're here for.
Awesome. Great.
Thanks,
Jeff
John.
Heyman, everybody.